He's for the game. He's for the rugby. He's a big rugby. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about a game called Hewns. I don't have a box or anything to show you. I do have this really cool miniature, which I'll talk about more about, and definitely show you some of the miniatures here later when I'm showing you how to play the game. Man, I think this is Gen Con 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't remember exactly when, but I was Gen Con opened up an area on their floor to the first board game bazaar, I guess, kind of thing, or basically it was just one of those things where it was brand new designers kind of thing, and they had different smaller booth space, but definitely some really intriguing designs and some pretty exciting conversations I had with some up and coming releases that were coming. And I walked by this booth and it was like, all of a sudden I was like, whoa, what is this? And they had this little tiny 10 by 10 area. They had this game, Hewns, set up. And I was absolutely just blown away just by the look of the game. Tons of miniatures. This is not a miniature. This is like a huge, giant piece of plastic in my hand. But the articulation, everything like that. But not only was all the miniatures ranging from little tiny little bugs like this to big honking guys like this. Not only were they super cool looking and awesome, but they were designed with movable parts and all these different secret compartments and these different spots and different things. And so they were not only cool to look at, but they were functional. And I remember I sat down and I played a couple rounds of the game and I was just blown away. I thought at first it was going to be like a big giant straightforward fighting game, but no, it was kind of a Euro game. It was a game about collecting resources from a planet and defending those resources and surviving with your robots, your Hewns, with those resources as long as you possibly can. And then after a certain amount of time or after certain game ending conditions happen, depending upon the scenario, whoever did the best job of mining these cool green gems basically out of the planet would win the game. You could get obliterated or destroyed, but if you had more of these resources at the end of the game, you were the winner. So and then it was that was like I said, 2 Gen Cons ago, 3, I can't remember exactly, but then I went and I saw it again, the next Gen Con. I was they were yeah, it's still under development, we're still making it. And now finally, I got a prototype sent to me and I was able to actually finally really play the game and show it to my gaming group, and we were able to dive in and really enjoy the game a great deal. And now, the minds behind this, I still don't know, because usually I see this stuff and it's okay, these are 3D printed, but these don't feel like a 3D printed miniature. Usually those have a certain texture to them or a resin to them, and these feel like they were professionally molded or sculpted in a factory, but I could very well be wrong. But now finally it's coming to Kickstarter, and people are going to be able to get their very own copy and have these awesome creations and be able to do battle and collect the substract and see who is the winner. So let me show you how the game is played. This is going to be a little lengthy as far as how the game is played, because there are a fair number of rules that are involved, but it definitely is a game that once you learn it, it starts clicking along really well, and it shouldn't be too much of a problem, especially if you've if you're in the hobby gaming aspect as well. So cool. Well, let's show you Hewns, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you some final thoughts. All right, so here we go. This is Hewns. Now, I've just kind of set up a map, and I didn't walk through the actual setup process. One of the main things that you're going to learn as you play this game is that you are going to actually create the map each time you play. And the players, everybody involved, will work together to build that. You're going to start with this main board here, and then you're going to start building tunnels off of that. And you can kind of tell these tunnels kind of shrink as they go along, and that's by design. These are called ravines in the like the terminology of the game. But I don't know, I just always call them tunnels, which is kind of weird because you actually build tunnels later. You can actually create tunnels that will take you from certain places to others, so you can avoid certain like enemies or certain traps or what have you. Also, after the game is created and placed out onto the board, the players will have a hand of planet cards that they will in turn start placing certain things on the board. And these things will be mines, which you can see are like these items here, and like some of these mines are better than others. You can see this +1. If you mine that particular mine, you'll be able to gather possibly more of these little chewy, yummy green crystals over there, the substract that you are collecting. And those are like the victory points of the game. And I'll get more into that here in a little bit, but just keep that in mind. But also magnetic tunnels, which are like, you can see this one has an A and an A. What that means is that if you go into that spot, it's like a magnetic pull that's going to pull your Hewn or your robot or whatever you want to call them straight through there, and they're going to pop up on that other location there. There's also a couple of miniatures already out. These are neutral Hewns, and I'm just going to kind of maybe show you a close-up of this guy. And these are placed randomly if you have the card. And they have a control rod in the back that is not colored. Your Hewn that you place on your Hewns that you have will have a control rod of your player color in them, so you can differentiate those from the other players. And as the game progresses, you actually have the ability to like take over other players' Hewns if you're able to attack them successfully, which once again, when we get to combat, we'll talk a little bit more about that, obviously. But these are just placed out there. They are considered to be stunned and neutral. They don't move or anything, but they're there. They're right for the picking. If a player can get into that spot and attack them and take them over, players can get them. After you set the map and you place those things, you will then place entrances, and you can see their entrances like here and there and so forth, and those are placed by the players as well. These are entrances that everybody can use. Later on, you'll be able to bid. There's a bidding process to bid on technologies and different Hewns that are available at that particular round. You can build secret entrances, basically entrances that only you know about, that other players can't use, that they can be placed on the board, and that will happen later. Now, when you do set up, it might be tough to see, but you can see there's these purple arrows and these yellow arrows. That kind of tells you the purple arrows and the yellow arrows have to match up when you place them next to each other. It just kind of helps you build the map out. Also, you might notice that there are these little figures on either side on each of these tiles, and as they go smaller, you can see like they start to have less of those figures on those. Those tell you the size of the Hewn they can actually get into that location. So here, big, medium, and small can all go. Once you get down into like these smaller areas, all of a sudden that's medium and small, and finally when you get all the way down here, only small Hewns can go through those particular areas. So it's kind of neat how they set that up, and you know, and I could go on and on about how cool these miniatures are, as I talked about earlier. But you know, I'll show some more close up here in just a little bit. But I mean, they really are like colossal comparatively. I mean, here's like this big giant artillery Hewn, and this is like heavy in my hand. I mean, this feels like it's a pound of plastic in my hand right here. And I should mention, I might as well, like these are so cool, so awesome as far as how they are made. You'll notice that there's this big gun here, and so you can actually moves up and down, but then you'll notice that actually when you move it up and down, and hopefully you can tell this, there's these spots where you actually get to place the resources in, that when you push it, they move back and forth as well. And so those are these locations where you can place the substract that you have, and then the substract that are actually on the miniatures or the Hewns then are used for attack and defense. And you know, they can be like sent up to your mothership, which is basically you sitting at the table. But having them on your Hewn enables them to do more. And then there's these spots like all of these, they're just. I can't go on enough about how cool they are. There's even more places for you to place more things. There's these spots where these heartstones are. I'll talk more about heartstones in a little bit, that allow you to kind of take control of certain things and have the ability to repair damage and all kinds of other cool stuff. But so obviously that's like a big Hewn. When you get down to medium-sized Hewns, you have this cool little dude. This is a major minor, and you can see there's spots up here that I'll just kind of grab one of these. I mean, I could probably do a whole video just on how the toy factor is so high in these things, but you can see how you can place those on there and you can just carry those around with you. And I'll explain more about that in a little bit, but you have the ability to actually transmit the energy to other Hewns on your team. So if you see one's being attacked, you can transmit the subtract energy to that. I should mention that here's another cool one where it has these things here on the sides that you can spin, and I mean you might not be able to see, but there's locations in there for them to have those. And once again, take the top off. Here's another spot where you can place more. And the thing is that those spots that are hidden from the other players, you do have a player shield that you place in front of you. I'm not going to have it in front of me for showing you how to play. One, it tells you everything you need to know pretty much as far as the iconography and everything. I can't say enough how wonderful player aids like this are for playing games like these that have a fair number of rules that may be tough to keep track of everything as you're playing. But if you have this as a reference sheet that you can look at quickly and understand what's going on and have a pretty good idea without having to crack open a rule, awesome. Kudos to the designer for making these really, really good player aids and shields, if you will. But the thing I was going to say about the shields was that a lot of the stuff, what you'll do is secret. You'll take certain Hewns and you'll I'm transmitting energy or subtract energy, and you don't have to transfer anyway, because once again, remember, you can hide that in some of these, the stuff that you're creating. And so there's a kind of a bluffing atmosphere as far as I don't know exactly how much energy that particular Hewn might have. It might not be really easy for me to attack it. So there's some cool stuff going on with that. All right, so that's kind of a brief overview of what you're looking at. At the beginning of each round, you will have, there are these 4 sets of cards that represent the 4 different sizes of the Hewns, and I'm sorry, that's technology. The 3 different sizes of the Hewns and the technology cards there. Up here we can see for the auction round, there is 1 large Hewn here, there are 2 medium ones, 4 small ones, and then 4 bits of technology. So the way bidding works, you even lots of different bidding games, it's you put your hand out like this and you reveal, or you have some sort of a chart in front of you and you put tokens down and then you reveal it by lifting your shield up so people can see what you bid. But in this particular game, we have these guys. These are your bidding bots, basically. Inside the bidding bots, you have this open container where you can drop in your subtract and these blue kind of I forget what the exact terminology is offhand, but basically this is spent or kind of corrupted subtract energy. You get a certain amount of that at the beginning of each round. Here, I might as well just peel these off. So this is the scenario. And you can see the first round, you're going to get 20. With 4 players, you get 20, and so on and so forth. You get more and more. And then the next round, and the next round, and so on and so forth. And then this particular scenario runs 3 rounds, then it's over. It can end earlier if you run out of mines, which rarely happens, or if you deplete 15 mines. That's what this tracker is. As you get stuff out of mines, you have to roll a die that kind of like has something bad happen, possibly, as you're mining this planet. And if you destroy 15 total mines, then the game's over in that situation too. This is not a war game per se. There's definitely a lot of combat going on with you and your Hewns doing battle on the planet, but it's whoever has the most subtract, the green subtract at the end of the game is the winner. But the way bidding works is really simple. Behind your screen, you'll put a certain number of tokens in here to bid, and then you'll just place it on the card that you want. These cards will have a number that'll be right here, and that is the minimum bid. Hopefully this will come into. It's a 5, trust me. So that is the minimum bid right there, that 5. That's the minimum bid that you have to put down in order to get that particular Hewn. If you are the winning bid, but it's less than 5, nobody gets it. If 2 people tie for the same bid, then in that situation, then nobody gets it either. You just get all your stuff back. This is a bid where if you don't have the most that is bid on something, then you do get your energy back, so you don't have to, you don't spend it if it is. When you place these, obviously you can tell they're easily stackable. So as people bid on these things, they will stack up on top of each other like so, and then these will be revealed. And you have a spot. I can show you. I didn't put the control rods in, but here, let me just grab an orange control rod here. In order to tell, once again, there's a little spot there where then you'll put your control rod in and you'll know whose bid this is. And this goes for the same for the particular Hewns that you bid. The only other thing is that if you don't want to spend this, you can just choose to use it to collect more. You turn it upside down and put it in front of you like so, to say that you're not going to be using this particular bot for the bidding, and then you can get a free corrupted subtract instead. You can get that energy, and that energy can be used immediately on your bids that you're making that particular round. So something to keep in mind. You will go through, figure out who won everything. Once you figure out who wins everything, you'll either get your Hewn that you bid for or get your technology that you bid for, and then at that point they're available for you to use. Once you attach a piece of technology, you don't have to attach a piece of technology as soon as you get it. Say you get a mining claw, but you haven't got a Hewn that you want to attach it to yet. You don't have to attach it. You can wait until a later time to attach it to something that you want to do. It's up to you as far as how you want to handle it. But when you do it, you are going to claim the card, and you'll have the card in front of you, so you can keep track of what particular powers are on there. And I might as well just kind of show you some of these things that are on here. So here you'll have the number. Once again, I said that was the bid on there. The number of action points is right here. The fog bear can take 6 action points. Over here, this big number over here, that's 1. It has 1 mining dice when it does a mining action. If it has any armor, it's listed right there as 1. Its melee combat is listed there. If it has range combat, the fog bear doesn't. It would have a number there. Down here on the bottom, this is the total number of storage spaces it has, 12. Then next to that, you have the nano sockets that allow how many nano level technology can be attached to it. Next to that, you have sicket sockets, which is another type of technology, a smaller type of technology. And finally over there, that is a heart card, meaning does it have a spot to place a heart card in it. Heart cards are good because it gives them extra power, gives them the ability to repair themselves at the beginning of the round. See, normally at the beginning of the round, if you have a damaged Hewns out there and they have the ability to fix themselves, whether they have a Mr. Fix-It on them, or if there's another Hewn next to yours that you can try to help fix it later on the turn, you can fix it those ways. If you have a heart card in the particular Hewn that you have, that can also repair itself. It's just basically a test of dice against dice. You will will roll 10-sided die, and then the person to your right will roll a 10-sided die. If you best their number, the Hewn will fix itself at the beginning of the round, and you'll do that before you do any bidding or anything like that. So you can have it so you can accurately plan your next turn as far as what's available to you. Let me grab one that actually has like if it some of these have special abilities like Igil. Here you can see it has this. That means it can bombard people. Basically, like it's a big howitzer gun, so it can attack people that it doesn't have line of sight to, which is obviously probably a pretty good ability to have. Let me grab here. I'll just grab these real quick here and just show you. So some of these will not have an icon there for ranged combat, meaning this does, I misspoke, I apologize. This means it does not have ranged combat. Ranged combat works a little bit differently. I shouldn't, when I get to it, I'll tell you. The amount of dice you get to roll for ranged combat depends a lot upon the energy you want to spend when you actually go through with it. But that means like the major and minor can't. However, if you were able to get like the Ganana, which is a technology that you can affix to it, then you would gain that ability. You would gain the ability to have ranged combat if you had that. If you're a Hewn that already has the ability for ranged combat, that would just increase it, and so it would be actually useful for you to place it on there. Let me grab a Ganana really quick and just show you how technologies work when you put them on. Actually, what I did is I grabbed two different technologies. I wanted to grab the Ganana, which is that one right there, and I wanted to grab the Mining Claw, which is right there. And this is just so I can show you that on like the top of this particular the remember I showed you the fog bear or whatever. It has these two slots. It has one right there, and it has one right there. And you'll notice that like the Mining Claw will fit directly in there, meaning that now it has Mining Claw, and then you can affix the Ganana into the smaller one that's located there. Let me see if you can tell that. And this is the way you can modify these Hewns as you get them, so they have different and varied abilities. So another way that like each game won't exactly be the same. I forgot one other thing with the auction. So in the auction, at the first round of the game, you will hand out the turn order randomly, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and like you mix them up and like you shuffle them and you hand them off. After the first round, notice how there's 11 out there. There'll be a 12th spot available, and people can then bid to be able to be the person that then will take these, and whoever wins that bid, they'll be able to hand out these cards to whoever they want. They don't have to give themselves number one if they don't want to. They can make other people go to kind of like have them play their hand, so to speak. And they can go through that process, and they can decide where they want to go as far as the turn order goes. I should also mention that during the bidding phase, you have a timer. There's a 3-minute timer, which you will set and you'll go. 3 minutes is plenty of time, in my opinion, for the bidding. And for when we played, we definitely used it for a little gamesmanship, as far as like trying to talk people. Hey, what do you think you're going for this round? What do you think you're going to grab? That kind of thing, and having conversations as far as those are concerned. And it kind of added to the thing. And plus, there was something nice about when you couldn't decide what you wanted to do, and like the timing, turn this over, and like you're like got just seconds left, and you're like, oh, I gotta make up my mind, So those were some fun things, and I like the timer aspect of it. And many times when we played, we didn't have to, there wasn't any danger of like running out of time, so to speak. So, all right, now I'm not going to show you like a full game. I just want to kind of touch on what you will do on your turn. So let's just go ahead and place, so to speak, we have, this is my Hewn. Oh, I should probably, here, I'm going to say I'm the blue player. So I'm going to take this blue control rod, and put it on top like so. And on my turn, what I can do, since this is a fog bear and it is a medium sized, I can't go into these small little crevices, but I'm in a situation where on my turn I have several options available to me. Now he doesn't have any special abilities to as far as like to dig or to fly or anything like that, so I want to talk about those special abilities really quickly. Most often when you're moving, you'll just move and take an action. To move to a spot, it's one action to move. To like mine on a location, and I'll talk about mining here very, very soon, but mining in a situation, you will like it takes one action, but you can only do that once per turn. You can't do that. You can also extract the dirty substract or the polluted substract. You can do that also, but you can also do that once per turn. So I might as well just show you. It lists all the different possibilities right there. Once again, great player aid. Can't say that enough. As far as like all what it costs, even like the things that are like free to do, you know, as far as that goes. So climbing, certain Hewns will have the ability to climb, and what that means is basically they climb out of the ravine, they skitter across the planet's surface, and then they climb down. What determines whether or not you're able to make it is this guy right here. If you've played miniatures games, I'm sure you know, you're well familiar with the idea of having a ruler that determines how like distances and things like that. In this case, if you have a Hewn that can climb, what you will do is you will like basically, if this guy could climb, if I said I wanted to like climb over to that one, you have to be able to connect these two spots and then they'd be able to go from one to one. Same thing goes for tunneling. You know, if I wanted to tunnel from this place to that, same thing. Same thing with flying. Some Hewns are able to fly, in which case, you know, they basically take flight and they go. Climbing takes 3 action points. Flying takes 2, and tunneling or digging takes 2. If you fly or climb from one spot to another, you run the risk of the high winds, because like this planet that you're on has extremely high winds that everything's flying around. And if you have to roll a die, if you roll a 0 on a 10-sided die, you are considered picked up by the winds and cast off into space, and you're gone, you're destroyed. And so, there is a risk to it. Now, it's only 1 in 10, but it's still a risk. And it is pretty funny when it happens to somebody. And I definitely have laughed a few times when the bad luck of my opponents, of course it's happened to me as well, and I don't think it's nearly that funny, but regardless. When you tunnel, however, there's some specific rules, because when you tunnel, it doesn't shut off behind you. You're basically tunneling between 2 spots and you're leaving an open spot, and so there are some special rules that are involved with the tunneling process. Alright, so check out this Hewn here. This is the Clam Paint. This plucky little guy, you have the minimum of 2, action point 6. He's got 1 armor, he's got 1 attack, but notice this cool little ability here. That means this guy can dig. So here, this is what he looks like. Look at him, isn't he cute? He's got his one little piece of substract inside of him, so he can carry that around with him, and I've got my control rod. So let's just go ahead and place him. So he's a small guy, so let's say I really wanted to try to figure out a way for this guy to get over there without having to, like, say there's some enemies over here. Like, let's just like say this is my opponent just waiting to blow me up if I came through there. But I really want to get over here to get to that particular mine. Maybe this mine's been used up. So, and mind you, 2 enemy Hewns cannot occupy the same location, so just keep that in mind. But I wanted to, so let's say he's there, and I want to build I want to be able to dig and create a tunnel going from that spot to that spot. Well, the first thing I have to do is I have to make sure that they're close enough together that I can make a tunnel. Now, I mean, I know that this one is close enough, but you would use the measuring stick like so. So like, let's say we can go there. So yes, we definitely can reach. And so now we're going to use our ability to dig. So what we're going to do is we're going to place that spot right there, and then we place like kind of an entrance right there, and then we find the other 14 and place that in the other location. Let me grab that. And now we've created the tunnel. So he can go in movement, can go like so and so. But now we have a problem. Since he is just a little level 1 guy, that's what he creates as far as this tunnel goes. But he's a level 2. So you can spend another action to dig, and then you could increase the level. And notice how the iconography is still the same in that particular spot. So you remove those, and you'd place a 5. Now, on my neck, because when you take your turn, you will move all of your Hewns, like pick a Hewn, do its actions, and then the next one goes. So timing matters. So he'd be able to walk over to this other location by using that particular tunnel. And, you know, and he can build it bigger. He can take the action to dig it bigger. And of course, as you probably have guessed, if you want to, you can build all the way up to a level, the one where all 3 sizes can go through the location like that. So, and once again, he can still do that. He can expand that. You don't have to be a big Hewn to build those particular spots up. Pretty straightforward as far as the rules, but it just, like, that's one of the things I like about this game. The rules just, like, they make sense, right? Yes, there is quite a bit of dice rolling going on. There's quite a bit of a process, and that once you play the game, you're going to get used to. But it is one of those things where everything makes sense. Like, yeah, it makes sense that this guy could just kind of keep digging and digging and digging and build the tunnel out. All right, so mining a planet is fairly simple. If you are on a spot with a mine and your Hewn has the ability to mine, you will roll mining dice, which will tell you how much of the substract you will be able to remove. There is a danger, however, because you have to roll a danger die, that could create hazards on the board or deplete the mine, or it can have something good happen where a new mine can appear. When you mine, you will take mining dice, which are these dice here, and you will take the certain number depending upon the mining ability of the Hewn working. Now, the Fogbear normally has a 1 for its mining, but because it has the claw, it gets an extra 1. So it's got 2 dice. Now it's also on a spot that has another +1, which means I'm going to be able to roll 3 dice, and I'm going to be able to take that much substract out of the ground. Now, if I want to, I can choose to mine dangerously, which would add even another die to the amount that I'm rolling. But instead of rolling 1 danger die, you would roll 2 danger dice when that happens. Now, in this case, I'm just going to roll the 3 dice and just see what I get. So let's see here. I got a 2, and I got a 2, and I go on. Now, a couple things. So right now I got 5, or I can take what's called like a green heart gem. And the substract heart gems are, you take them and you replace your normal heart gem with them. It's still and they're going to be worth extra points at the end of the game if you decide to do that. But you have to, the heart gems, you know, I might as well just, you can kind of, maybe you can't really quite see that, but there's like a 2 and then there's a crystal instead. At the end of the game, though, in order to get the points, you have to control that Hewn, and it has to be active in order for you to get those points. But in this case, like, let's just say I just decide to take the 5, and so I just go ahead and take the 5 that I've collected, and now I have the option of leaving them on my Hewn because I have lots of space within my Hewn to hold on to these things. Or I could, send them up to the mothership if I wanted to. And I can always choose to do that later if I want to. Now, in this case, what I want to do is I want to, like, what you could do to kind of fake your opponents out is that you can say, well, I'm going to leave some of it, on my Hewn, so to speak. But I'm also going to, send some of it up to, like my mothership. Now I could be lying through my teeth that that's what I'm doing, but you know, I can go ahead and place these within my hewn, and my opponents are none the wiser as far as how much like energy is within that particular hewn as it moves about on the board. Now I have to roll a danger die, so I get to collect that regardless. Now I roll the danger die and I got a blank, which is good, obviously, but there are different things that can happen. You can deplete the mine, and these are going to be these. I apologize. These might be tough to see, but like you can deplete the mine. You can get a brand new mine. If you deplete the mine, you just remove the mine from the board, and then you increase the track on the scenario card that shows that the mines are being depleted. If you get a new mine, the next player gets to place it. So just keep that in mind. So they'll probably place it someplace advantageous for them. But also there are different things that can happen as far as like lava can come out. You can be attacked by a bunch of little critters that show up, or the planet itself can attack you. And I might as well just show you those cards. So when these happen, depending upon die rolls, like, you know, here's the lava. This big mouth is the planet itself attacking you, and these are the little critters that show up and try to you know, destroy your hewn. One of the things is that when it gets placed, you have to place it within one space of where the accident occurred. And so in this case, like if you wanted to have lava, you could have it show up there. Now, the cool thing is that if an opposing player just happens to be in that place near you, you can just have that calamity happen to them and they'd be attacked by that lava. Now, if, however, you have no open spaces, so let's say there was the critters on that spot and I rolled that the planet attacks me itself, like I would have to place it on my particular spot. And when you place it on a spot that has a mine, you have to destroy the mine as well, which could, of course, increase the mining level, the like depleted mine stack as well. And then if I have to place it where I am at, then that would attack me at that time. This will make more sense when I get to combat, but when the planet attacks you, you use yellow combat dice to attack you. When lava comes at you, you use the red combat dice, and these guys use the pink combat dice, which are used for them, and they're just considered like basically like little tiny biting insects, that basically scour over your hewn and try to destroy it. So there, you have to mine to win, but there is an inherent danger to mining as well. All right, so that kind of covers everything that you'll do on your turn besides fighting something. And now combat is a very, very dice-filled affair, but it is relatively quick. Now let me just go ahead and set up a combat so you can see how that works. All right, so first thing I'm going to show you is a ranged combat. Now I have a Svenevo, which is this guy here, and that's mine. You notice the blue control lot rod. It's kind of, you might be tough to see, but it's sticking out. And they're just like, once again, these miniatures are just super cool the way they've made them. And then he wants to do a ranged attack on that major miner that's right there. Now the reason I want to do a ranged attack is because he doesn't have any ranged attacks, because of the fact that the major miner, notice he doesn't have like a range ability that would normally be right there. Let me just get that in the focus. Normally be right there. And since he doesn't have that, I can attack him with impunity. Now, the way this works is that normally to do a range attack, you have to spend energy. And I only have this one energy on there. And I might want to hold on to that in case like I get attacked. I want to use it for defense. Now, if this particular hewn had a gun, like, it got a gunana and added it to it, it would be able to fire back. But in this case, we're just saying he can't. But if there was, everybody would roll, like you would determine how many attack dice you're going to use, how many defense dice you're going to use, and so forth, depending upon the amount of energy that you're going to spend. Now, when you make energy attacks, you have a choice between using, or range attacks, I should say. You have a choice between using yellow dice, which have more misses, but when they hit, they can do more damage. Or you can use the red area effect dice, which it doesn't affect more than one thing in a particular spot. But what it does is it does less damage, but you get a better chance of hitting. Each particular Hewn will get a number of defensive dice that are going to be equal to their action number. So in this case, like the major minor has a 4 in their in that particular category. So they're going to have 4 dice, but they can spend the subtract that they have to increase that if they wish by either and when you're actually doing close combat and you're actually having Hewns that are able to take over mines and things like that, you will sometimes have to decide if you're going to defend your body or if you're going to defend the brain of your particular Hewn that's in case. But we'll get to that when we do a close combat. Pretty straightforward. What happens is that each person is going to take a certain number of attack dice and they're going to place them in their hand. And and I only have that one subtract, so you might be saying, well, that's gonna be kind of tough to damage. But one of the things that you can do is you can wirelessly transfer subtract that other Hewns on your team as long as there is a line of sight. And notice I have my big giant fog bear there. And remember, we collected a bunch of subtract earlier when he mined, and so I could say I'm going to use that. He's going to transfer it to him, and he's going to use that to make the attack on that particular on the major minor that's over here. So just quickly to resolve this, I'm going to secretly take, because there's 5 dice in there, and we're just going to use all 5. I'm going to use 2 area effect. I'm going to use 3 laser, and because this player knows that I can transfer that, they're going to have their 4 defense, but they're also going to go ahead and maybe burn up 2 of their subtract, and they're going to do it. Now, when you reveal these, you have to spend the subtract to do it, and you have to show what you're doing. And then you're just going to do you're going to compare, you're going to total up the rolls, and you're going to see who wins. So defensively, wow, that was horrible. I rolled like a 1 escape, which is just 1, and so then I'm going to actually I only did 2 damage, so that's actually I only got a total of 2. I did pretty poorly with the attack roll. Now, if these particular Hewns have reroll abilities, you can use those in combat. But in this case, the attack would have worked. And if the attack works, then the person that got hit has to roll a die that shows the damage. We'll roll this and see what happened. And then we would got this kill result, which is, once again, probably a little tough to see. These are fairly tiny. But I'll just show you on here, you can see the damage that you do is either a kill result. You do damage to technically they're called hurt dice, but you can see damaged and stunned, dead, stunned, sick at hit, or damaged. Now, a couple of things that happen. If you are damaged, if you are stunned in any way, shape, or form, you lose the control rod on there, and it is replaced with a neutral control rod, like so, and it is placed, and so that it is somebody else could come and take it if you want. If you're damaged and not stunned, you are still in technically it is the person's Hewn, but you place a damaged token on the control rod to show that it can't take any actions. It's basically stuck there, and it's either got to repair itself or someone needs to come and repair it and take care of it. Destroyed, you just take it off. And I should mention, before the dice are rolled, all the players have the option, if you think your Hewn's going to get destroyed, you can teleport the energy that you've collected on it up to the mothership, basically behind your player board, before any dice are rolled. So you can definitely hedge your bets as far as it would kind of stink to lose your Hewn, but you can hold out for the fact that at least you got the stuff that was on it, so to speak. If you hit a sicket hit, which means like there's a technology on it. This one I didn't have any technology on it, but if you got that as a result, you would remove the technology, it would be destroyed, but the Hewn would be fine. If you didn't have one on there, it's just dead anyway. So there's a lot of different things around this. I do like this because of the fact that there isn't like it lost 5 hit points, somehow keep track of that, and that whole process. I don't really much care for that, but it is one of those things where it is really evident. You can see immediately the status of any of the Hewns if they have like the neutral control rod on it, or if they're damaged. You can definitely tell what's going on. I remember, like I said, at the beginning of each round, you can possibly, if they can, do a recovery by themselves. They can do that and they can get going. All right, so close combat is a different thing entirely. So if these two, let's just take that off like so, and if these two were in combat like that, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to add a Mr. Fix-It to one of them. All right, so this combat's going to be between the Major Minor here and the Fog Bear, and which I've replaced the Mining Claw with that Fix-It attachment. Now, the Fix-It-O, I should say, basically allows it to do attempt to like fix and repair the ones that are on your team, but it also allows you to do what's called a brain repair on somebody. And the brain repair basically is an attempt to try to take over the particular thing that the other Hewn that you're attacking. Now, if all you're doing is just straight attacking, it's pretty straightforward as far as how that is processed. Every Hewn has a certain number of close combat dice, and so like the Fog Bear has 3. The Major Minor has 3 as well, and you're just going to roll those, and then you roll whatever defense dice you have, and you just compare the results as far as the damage. You could very well be in a situation where both of them do damage to each other in a situation like this. If you have weapons, if you have the ability for ranged weapons, you can spend. You can send your subtract as before to add more weapon dice to your roll, so just keep that in mind. What you can't do when 2 are in the same spot, and you can't transfer subtract to it, because like the technology of the 2 that are in there is screwing up the wavelength of being able to transfer the subtract to them. So you are unable to help out with your fellow Hewn in that situation. But again, you're just going to roll these pink close combat dice. Depending upon the number of successes you get, you compare that to the damage, and if you successfully damage, then you're going to roll the hurt die and determine what happens to those particular Hewns. Now, the brain repair is a completely different thing, and it's going to take a little bit of explanation. All right, so the way this is going to work is that it is once again kind of a bluffing situation. If this player is fairly certain that I'm going to attempt brain repair, I'm not going to do any sort of attack on them. I'm going to be attempting to take over that particular Hewn. If that's the case, they can burn their subtract that they have, once again, to increase their armor or to increase their defense, but instead of doing a body defense, they can say that they're going to do it to increase their mind defense or brain defense. So brain defense dice are only used to protect yourself against brain repair, and a body defense can't be used to protect yourself against brain repair. Now, it can also choose to attack and try to like do damage to my Hewn as well. And both of those things will happen simultaneously. The attack will work just as before. If they want to, they can spend extra subtract to use weapons if they have them to attack, and they can also but once again, they can't get any subtract transferred to them, and because of the fact that they're both in that particular spot. Now, but the brain repair, the way it works is that players are just going to roll d10s, and what you're doing here is you're trying to, kind of like before when I talked about repairing, how you have to roll better than the person that rolls against you. You're going to have a situation where, depending upon the repairability of the robot in question, in this case it is a Fixito, it has just a 1 repair, you're going to get to roll 1 10-sided die. Other Hewns will have more dice in that situation, but we're just going to roll 1. The other Hewn will automatically get 1 die to defend themselves, and they'll also get any extra dice depending upon the number of subtract that they spend on brain defense. Just so you know, there is a maximum of 7 dice total that you can use to add, and that is like whether it's defense, whether it's attack, or what have you, you roll. So in this case, like if they have the 2 brain defense, let's say like he spent 1 subtract, there's a brain defense, we're going to roll both of those, get a 4 and a 1. Now let's see if I roll well here with this one. I basically have to beat a 4. And I get a 10. So boom, what that happens then is we would go ahead and remove that control rod. We'd insert the blue control rod, and the player would have to hand over their card for their major minor, and I would now have control of that. Again, before the combat starts, if the player wanted to, they could transfer their subtract up to their mothership so they wouldn't lose those, and the attack still goes through. So if they have close combat dice, the major minor has three close combat dice. They still get to roll those. So let's just see what we get here. We get 2 hits, and if I didn't spend any on defense or anything like that, I get 1 armor, and I have I have plenty of defense, but there's a possibility that it would work on me. So let's go ahead and roll the defense. And yeah, I got a 2, so nothing would happen, and I would be able to defend myself against that. But you can see though that like if they had weaponry and they wanted to use those and spent that, they could have possibly done damage to me and possibly even destroyed the Hewn, but the brain repair would still go through, and I would still get control of that particular Hewn. And if there was still subtract left in there, I would definitely be able to use that immediately. And I can take a turn with my new Hewn right after I take it. So it definitely, the brain repair, it doesn't happen a lot because you have to have the special, either have one of the Hewns that has the ability to do brain repair, or you have to have a Fixito attached to it, and it can be tough to pull off, but if you can, it can be definitely game swinging, and it's pretty awesome when it does come true. So that is the different attacks that you can do. There's a lot more as far as the different rules, as far as all the different types of Hewns, and there's so much here that I'm really just scratching the surface in this extended period of time that I've been explaining it. But just keep in mind that you can go ahead and check out the rules and dive in and take a good read. This game has obviously been developed for a long time. They've made fantastic miniatures, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun to play. But let me talk about that and more in my I said, there's a ton of rules out there. I invite you to go ahead and read the rule book and dive into it yourself and just kind of get a better feel for it. I only had a couple of scenarios to play, so I mean, I can only imagine like some of the other things that they're going to come and create with. But right off the bat, the things I really liked is the fact that you're creating the map with the other players, and you're working with that, and then as the game progresses, the map does change. You start getting hazards on there, pathways that you used to think were going to be useful no longer will be there, but you can change the map though. You can make tunnels to bridge gaps. You can just focus on having flying Hewns, so you can not really have to worry about dealing with like the hazards that might be there. And then there's always like just the process. Like, do you want to just focus on just mining as fast as you possibly can and just, you know, shoot that energy back up to your mothership and hopefully you'll gain more than everybody else? Do you want to like just be kind of a pirate and wait for other people to gather up the substract and then maybe try to take those over? Or just like kind of like, you know, do a tanking type of situation where you just kind of collect what you have and then power up your particular Hewns and just guard some mines and just sit there and plumb those mines as much as you possibly can, and while having some like really big beefy Hewns surrounding your harvesters, you know, and keeping a watch out for, you know, any kind of like you know, special attacks or anything like that. There's a whole lot of stuff we didn't go into. Like there's abilities that the Hewns have to like just basically self-destruct, so they can do a bunch of damage and obviously kill themselves in the process. There's implosion bombs. The artillery is like something like that big giant one that I showed you, that has the ability to shoot artillery. I mean, that thing's awesome. I mean, basically it's like, oh, I don't have line of sight of you, but I can still and I can blow you up from afar. Certain things like that are just super cool. And plus, like I said, the toy factor of this stuff is so off the hook. It's one of those things where, like, I wouldn't even, like, I probably would have walked right by. I mean, the colorful graphics and everything like that. But what drew me in was they had this table set up and it was just full of these awesome miniatures all over the place, and they just were so super cool. I mean, you couldn't not just want to gravitate towards the table and just sit down and give it a try. And so it's definitely one of those things where I think like the table presence of it, if that matters to you at all, is off the charts. I mean, and like I said, lots of games. Oops. And yeah, I mean, and this is actually a good thing. The fact that they do come apart means that like you don't have to worry about like when you put your miniatures away, because they come apart. You don't have to worry about them breaking. You know, like because you take the separate parts out, you put them down, and then you put it back together when you have it. But it's one of those things where lots of games have really good miniatures, but not a lot of games have miniatures that have function within the game. And I think that's something that like you could have this without it, right? You could just say, here's my card for this Hewn, and now it has laser guns and it has a robot arm, and you could just do that. But the fact that you actually do modify the miniature as you play is super awesome and just beyond like anything that you'd expect. It doesn't hurt that the game itself is very structured, very well made, and feels like a very fun tactical strategic experience with a nice dose of like, you know, like some Ameritrash stuff going on with the dice rolls, but also just like has its feet grounded in some classic Euro things too, area control, you know, modular board, you know, collecting resources, that sort of thing. And I do always like the fact that like the resources you collect, you have to have them at the end of the game to win, but you have to actually spend them during the game to put yourself in the chance to win. So there's a seesaw there. Do I spend the stuff that I collected, or do I wait? I really like that a lot. So if you want to have a completely unique, wonderful experience on your a table for your gaming group to play, I strongly suggest you to give Hewns a look and give it a shot. I doubt you'll be disappointed. All right, so if you have any questions about the game, by all means, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, you be as awesome as you possibly can be. I'll do the same, and take care.